Hello, everybody, and welcome to my series called Let's Talk, where I sit down on my computer, play Minecraft or any game, honestly, and talk about life. Um, Last episode was me talking about high school and my high school experience and just kind of relaying info. Um, so this time, I figured why not talk about what's happening right now, and instead of just discussing the past. Um, and what's happening right now is summer's ending. For some people, it might already even be over, but summer as the season is ending. Um, and that's that's kind of sad, you know? A lot of people anticipate things for summer, and they're they're like, oh, I need to have plans. I need to go out and do things, all this for summer. And I know for a lot of people, at least a lot of people that I talked to, the summer was kind of a bust. And I know it's different for every person. This could have been someone's greatest summer ever. I don't know. But for most of the people that I was talking to, the summer kind of wasn't that great. Um, and that's just a them and me thing. It's not, it's not anything really deep that needs to be said about summer. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that summer's getting worse. Every year summer is worse, Like, no. That's if we're being realistic here, that's not really what's happening. Um I think what's happening is that I don't know, it's just I'm growing older, the people around me are growing older, and we just don't view summer the same, or just don't have really we're in an awkward position because we're at the late end, we're at the end of our high school career, um, even though it's not really a career. That's what people say though. And you know, we we don't have enough power to like go out on big giant trips for summer, but we also have responsibility. We have power but no or we have responsibility but no power. And so a lot of us are working summer jobs or just working jobs in general. Uh, you know, Focusing on our career or our classes and whatnot, what we're gonna take. There's a lot of focus that goes into a lot of school related things, even pre school year, and so there's not enough time or effort or energy to really enjoy the last year of summer, because that's what this is. This is me and my friends' last summer, and I know that's not technically correct. Obviously, the season will come every single year. But it's our last, like, summer. You think of summer, you think of, getting out of school really early, or, not, no school, no responsibilities, no waking up early in the morning and sitting in one place for 7 hours. You can go out and hang with your friends whenever. You could wake up at noon. You could wake up never. Like, it's you could you could stay up all night. There's all of that, and we don't get any more of those, because once you're an adult, it's not a break from school. It just exists. And once you get a job, unless you are in a seasonal position or you are a teacher, there's no summer. And you know it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad. It's not something I should dwell on for too long, honestly, because there are definitely worse things that could happen. But it's a little bit depressing to think about. Despite how depressing it is, though, I still continued to not put a lot of effort into doing too many things this summer. I did near the tail end, and that's not to say that I didn't do anything this summer. I did go to Florida for a little bit, and I went to a couple concerts. But a lot of my summer was just spent hanging out inside my house, and that kind of sucked. That felt bad. This is probably the closest summer I've gotten since, like, to being inside as much as I am since, like, quarantine. It's been not great, and a lot of that has to do with friendships ending before the summer started, and just situations changing and whatnot. And I don't have anyone to blame for that. I can't be like, oh, this is all Blank's fault, or something like that. It's in the past. It doesn't matter. like I said, summer's ending. So to stay on track this time, with the end of summer comes not necessarily the end of fun, but for most people it seems that way. It's the end of like freedom, you know. For a lot of children, it's like there's nothing past this, you know. Like it's just another school year. I gotta sit through a whole. It's the longest period of time until the next summer. And thankfully for me, technically my summer hasn't ended yet. I have 2 more days. I have 2 more days of summer. In which those 2 days I am not allowed to do anything. So it's kind of sucks. Kind of sucks a lot. But there's some things about the end of summer that are kind of beautiful, in my opinion. With the end of summer comes a lot of like falling leaves, and you know, a lot of just beautiful things. Changes happen at the end of summer. Relationships either start or stop, depending on whether or not you had like a summer fling. But you know, identities change over summer. At the end of summer is when you see how people have changed that you haven't seen since the end of the school year, or maybe even longer. New faces arise, new possibilities for relationships start. Some possibilities for relationships end. You know, it's a lot of changing. I'd say it's the most changing time of the year, to watch summer slowly fade into fall. It's the single hardest change, I think, in a lifetime. And you have to see it every year. It happens every single year. Whether or not it's as drastic or effective for you, it is not really the point. It's just that it is the prime time for change. And so what I wanted to talk about is, what am I going to change, right? What am I going to do? It's summer's ending. What am I going to do? And what are you going to do? What are you going to do to change? I'm not here to tell you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If I could offer that kind of advice, I think I'd have my whole life figured out, and wouldn't even be making these videos to ramble to myself about this. But it's summer. It's summer right now. It's about to not be summer. What do I do? Well, what am I changing? And my goals for this upcoming year are balance. There's a lot of balance. There's a lot of balance, and there's a lot of new things I want to do. And I think it's 3 things. I think it's 3 things. It's balance, it's new experiences, and then it's learning good behavior, I guess you could say. And I think I'll for the start of this video just go through them. My number 1 balance is trying to balance schoolwork with life, because a lot of the times I let life take over schoolwork, mainly just because it doesn't sound like a very fun or interesting thing to do until, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm like 30, homeless, and I have been homeless for like a decade, and like I'm dying of like a serious illness and I can't get medical health care. Then it kind of seems serious, but you know what I mean? It doesn't seem, in the grand scheme of things, like the most important thing to me all of the time. And I don't want it to be. I don't want that to change. And you might think like, well, why? I feel like that would fix your attitude completely if you were just like, this is the most important thing, I need to hyper focus on it. Which is something I would think about if I hadn't talked to my therapist about this. She said that the only way for me to correct this behavior is for me to realize that one isn't killing the other. And by that I mean, it's okay to live the like happy, have fun, play video games type of lifestyle that I have. It's just not okay to completely ignore everything else for that. And it's not only schoolwork. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's loved ones. Sometimes it's anything. It could be literally anything. I just, you know, enjoy being by myself and isolated a lot more, even though I realize that it's probably not the best, you know? And so I want to strike a balance between that. Because I don't want to completely get rid of it. It's still a feeling that I like. Like at the end of the day, being by myself is still the best feeling in the entire world. I don't want to be around anyone else for ever. You know what I mean? I don't mean that like, oh, I don't want to be around you like forever. Like you have a limited amount of time you want to be around me. I mean like I want periods of time where in my life I'm not around anyone, you know? I want privacy. That's what I want. It's my favorite thing in the entire world is privacy. It's literally the only thing that keeps me sane. If I was in like a public environment for the entirety of my life, I think I would actually, I don't know what I'd do. I wouldn't be here anymore, I don't think. What was I saying? Yeah, transition, changing. I wanna strike that balance, but then also it's not just that. There are other things I want to balance, like my sleep schedule, just like time. I think time is a good overall subgenre for this. And this is something that I feel like is not necessarily plaguing some people. I mean, maybe, but I feel like that's a very harsh way to put it. Also, yeah, I am on fire. But you know, it's not necessarily plaguing people. It's just something that I feel like a lot of people don't address outwardly, is that like these are things that need to happen, but they don't need to happen in like the like scary Andrew Tate type way. I've seen all of these videos that are like men who are like, this is how you should live your life and whatever, and they never talk about transitioning from that. They'll always describe this ideal life where you're perfectly setting your goals and whatever, but they don't describe to you how you get that way. They're just like, oh, just start doing it. You can start doing it right now. I saw this video the other day of this this ginger jacked kid that was like, bro, I don't even remember what he said. He was like, it was something really stupid. And then he was like, bro, you're still like watching porn and eating unhealthy foods every day, and it's all in here. You can stop today. And it's like, no, it's not how that works. You can't stop today. If you could stop today, every single person in the world would be perfect. They would just wake up one day, realize that their entire life they're doing something wrong, and then fix it. And they'd be like, okay, I'm just not doing it anymore. And I'm not saying that as if that's impossible. I'm sure there's someone out there who was like, holy shit, I'm doing this thing wrong, and instantly they fixed it. I've had situations like that. It totally entirely depends on like what the situation is and how connected it is with your life. But I will give an example, like food with me. Food. That was something that guy mentioned. Food. Eating bad food. That's something that I am kind of addicted to. It's pretty much an addiction. I've talked to my therapist extensively with it. She's working with me to try to fix it. But if I had all of the power in my brain to just not do it anymore, I would. And I try. Every single day I try. Every single day I try. And sometimes it works. I get by that day without without eating at all, or without eating an extensive amount for like no reason, of just like crappy food. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, it's not because I give in and I'm like, oh, I tried, but no. It's like this subconscious, constant like beating into the back of my head, telling me I need to eat a shit ton of food right now. It's the worst feeling ever. It feels like there's someone who's holding my head underwater, and I know it's bad. I know it's bad. That's why I hate the people that will manipulate people in terrible positions and go, dude, it's all in your brain, dude. Literally just decide to stop. If I could do that, I would be Jesus fucking Christ. I literally would. I would be Jesus. Like, it's not that simple. And anyone that tries to tell you it's that simple, they are a moron. They don't experience life. There's probably something wrong with them. I'm just saying, there's probably something wrong with them if they really think that way. They are the stupid one, not you. I don't care if Andrew Tate has $1 million. He didn't get $1 million for being a smart person. He got $1 million for beating people up on TV. That's the opposite of being smart. That's how you damage your brain. These people are not there to help you at all. Anyways, side tangent aside, that's one of the things that I want to fix, is just general everything. Time focus, schedule out my time, work on it, whatever. What was the second thing I said? I said it was balance, and then something else. You know what? Forget the 3-step plan. There's like a million other things I want to change. There's probably a million other things I want to change, and I know I'm not going to be able to do all of them. That was the main point of this subject, was that I know for a fact that I have all of these plans in my head for changing the way I live or the way I see things, and doing more things, and all this more change. But I know for a fact I'm probably gonna do a small percentage of that. I know for a fact, and it's not necessarily because I'm like losing to myself. It's less of like a huge battle that I'm like, oh, I'm like down and out. It's more so just that I'm a person and I can't change that much in just a year. That's a like lifelong goal. That's a lifelong set of goals that I have. It's not something for this year. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. If by some miracle I can change everything in a year, then I'm the psychopath. I'm the crazy person. But I did it. I did it. And I tried. And almost that, the way I said that, it almost seems like a rebuttal to the claim I was making earlier that like these people are like awful and blah 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 blah. But here's the thing, I'm not listening to them. I'm listening to myself. And myself is real enough to tell me that I'm not going to be able to do it. And it's not like this, like, oh, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. It's more like, I'm sorry, but this is just how you are. This is how your body is. This is how your mind works. I'm not trying to limit you, but I'm saying don't expect everything to be sunshine and rainbows. And it works. It works. It works in my brain. It helps me realize myself and my goals and whatever. Is it a little bit disappointing when it eventually doesn't work like I predicted? Yeah, I'm not gonna say that feels good, because it doesn't. But it would be so much worse if I was like, yeah, I know if I was like this arrogant, self-absorbed asshole who was like, yes, dude, I can do anything, and like anyone who tells me that I can't or tries to like reason with me at all is actually the worst person in the world, and they're evil, and like no. Okay, I am my own person. I've lived with myself for my entire life. I know for a fact that I can't change every single aspect about me that I don't like in just a year, because those problems are deep rooted from years and years and years. It's going to take years and years and years to unlearn them and then relearn and then learn good behavior. That's just how it is. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. Even though that there's like this big uphill whatever, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna try. And that's something that I feel is not necessarily lost with people today. I just think that it's something that people, I don't know. This is my problem, because I constantly go on TikTok, right? And I see people who just aren't me, and obviously, right? Obviously, but they really genuinely believe in the shit that like Andrew Tate says, or these grifters say. They really genuinely believe that they can be on this like righteous path above everyone just because their brain like heard an Andrew Tate podcast, right? And I just don't know. I don't know if it's like a lost thing, if reasoning with yourself is a lost thing that just doesn't exist, but or if this is just like a select group of people. It definitely could be. I think it probably is. I don't believe I'd love to not believe that this world is just filled with people who just don't believe in themselves or don't know their own limits or whatever. I'd love to believe that's not true. Anyways, saying all this with the end of summer that's a majority of what my year to come is going to be, and it's a little bit exhausting to think about, and it's only a little bit exhausting to think about because it seems like I have to do so much work, even though I know I'm not going to be able to do all of it. It feels like I have such high expectations, but I don't. I have to reason with myself to tell myself that no, like it's not a long list of things that I'm like setting myself up and there's like all these things I have to do, because I already know I'm not going to do all of them. I'm not. That doesn't give me an excuse to not try, but I'm not going to do all of them. Then boom, it's like, oh, Well, if I already know that I'm not going to do all of them, and I'm still going into it, I don't have to worry about the big rush of changes that I have to do, all these different things I have to do, because I already know that if I fail, which is eventually like, or totally the thing that I'm like afraid of doing, you know, in this scenario, it doesn't matter. It means nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of or like worried about or anything like that. It's just something I already know. I already know that I'm not going to be able to change everything I want to change about myself. I already know that despite me not liking my body, I have no way to get to a gym. I have no way to get this and that. And I could work towards those goals and, you know, hyper focus on them and be like, oh, well, with this specific set of like this path of like doing this and this and this, but I already know that that's going to take longer than a year. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to set it in motion. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that I'm not going to put at least one tiny foot against the tide and be like, okay, well, at least this is here, and continue that lifelong, you know, journey, or maybe 2-year journey. Maybe it's only 2 years. Maybe the extent of my goal is only 2 years. But obviously I can't do that 2-year goal in 1 year. The position of my life is too change, like different, and it's changing a lot of change. But you know, that doesn't mean that it's impossible. So maybe I can do all of this in like one time, but no, I can't. I literally can't. Okay, I think I've got the point across. It's just something that I've noticed. It's just something that I've noticed that all these goals I've set up for myself. This happened like a while ago. I would say also again freshman year. I've had all of these goals, so I wanted to change the person I was because of the people that I was around. And to an extent, I did change a lot of it, but I was never satisfied with it because I never did everything that I wanted to do. And I would always get distracted by other things I wanted to do, or you know, all this other stuff. I wasn't the exact person that I wanted to be a year ago today. And so I had failed. That was it, you know? And I didn't have some sort of voice at the beginning of that journey to tell me that, like, you're not gonna do it. Like, it's straight up, you're not gonna do it. And it's like, I don't know. It's something that really messed with me. It really messed with me for a really long time until my therapist told me that. She told me that, like, I would say like a couple months ago. Like, it's that recent that I've realized this. So, you know, going back to like last video where I was like, sometimes I feel like I'm mentally stunted more than others. Maybe I am a little bit mentally stunted more than, not necessarily others like around me or whatever. You know, I'm not trying to compare myself, but maybe I am a little bit more mentally stunted in the entirety of mental health. You know what I mean? Just understanding and knowing a lot about mental health. I think I'm definitely not 100% there. I used to think I was. I used to think I was the master. I used to think I was the master at this shit. I used to think that, like, I had everything under control. I literally knew what I was doing. I was on, like, the divine path. Like no. That shit is not happening. Like, that's not how that works. You don't know everything until someone teaches you. And I've been taught more. And I still don't know everything. Right now, I still don't know the perfect way to live. I still don't know how to achieve all of my goals. I don't know how to do it. Maybe there is a way to complete them all in like 2 seconds, and I just don't know it. But I know for a fact, circling back around, I know for a fact that I'm not going to get it from some rich guy online. I'm going to get it from professionals that work with me and talk with me every single week. Or, you know, just anyone who's there for me through my whole journey of growing up, you know? That's how I'm going to learn that stuff. Summer's coming to an end, and it feels like I've wasted it. It feels like I've completely wasted my summer for the first time in my entire life. I have felt like times where I've quote unquote wasted my summer, but there's always been something, right? I think for the entirety of my summer, I hung out with people probably less times than there are fingers on my hand. Less times. And I won't lie, that's stunted me mentally. That has stunted me. Obviously. Very, very obviously to me now. But like last month, I didn't do anything with anyone for like a really long time. I think I went, I don't know if it was last month or the month before. I don't know when. I went to a shooting range with some of my friends. And then I hung out with them, or I hung out with my friend in Florida. I went to Florida for a couple days. And then that was it. Unless I'm like misremembering, I'm pretty sure that was the entirety of everything I did in July. I mean, obviously I like went out and did, like I like drove places and like like went to the store or to the bank, but like I didn't hang out with anyone. I didn't do anything. You hear stories about people doing stuff all summer. They'll be like, oh, sorry, today's Wednesday, so, you know, I'm hanging out at my best friend's house, like I do every Wednesday. You know, like, people have, like, schedules, and people do stuff with people. Like, every other night there's a new party or something like that. And then I think about my life, and I spend a lot of it just in my room. And I don't hate it. That's the thing. While I'm doing it, I don't hate it. I only hate it retrospectively. I only hate that there's not change during summer. Retrospectively, I only hate it then. And that sucks. That really sucks. Because I obviously I have to come to this from like a perspective of like understanding. I can't sit here and be like, you know, really hard on myself for no reason, like acting like this is the worst thing I've ever done. Like, no. In reality, although unhealthy, it is not the end of the world that I didn't do a lot this summer. You know why? Because I'm not gonna die next summer. Like, I'm not gonna die over the course of the year. Though there's going to be a lot of change, most likely in my life, it's not like that was my last shot to hang out with people. That was my last shot to, like, do cool things. It only feels that way because it's my last summer. Quote unquote, summer break. It's my last summer break. It really felt like that. I knew this was gonna be like this too. At the start of June, even before summer, I was like, this summer's gonna suck. I don't have anyone to talk to, anyone to hang out with. I just spent the entirety of my second semester of junior year inside doing nothing. Summer's gonna suck. It's not going to be, or at least it's not going to be memorable, you know? It's not going to have an insane amount of highlights. They're not going to make a movie out of my summer. It's just not going to happen. And it felt so crushing. And maybe that might have been a part of why I didn't reach out to people. I didn't reach out all of the time, despite wanting to. There were multiple people I probably could have been like, hey man, let's hang out. And it kind of also sucked that when I did, for some people, there was either an excuse or something was happening that made that not happen. And that definitely sucked, but it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't on purpose, you know? But I knew it was going to suck, you know? I knew that it was going to suck, and it's not necessarily my fault, quote unquote, but it is not someone else's. I could have reached out. I didn't because I was depressed, because I was isolated, because of all these other things. I could list a million excuses, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change that I could have reached out to people. I could have made my summer movie if I really, really, really wanted to. But you know how I could have fixed that? And not changed anything. Literally, I could have fixed all of that, changing only one thing. One thing I could have changed to fix this entire feeling of feeling bad about wasting my summer and all of this, by telling myself at the beginning of the year, when I made the promise to myself that, like, I'm gonna have a good summer because it's my last year, telling myself that I'm not gonna do everything. That there's a likelihood that that's not going to get done. I would not feel as defeated and terrible and just awful about not having a good summer if I would have told myself, hey man, you're not gonna do everything you want this year. It's that simple. It's literally that simple. And I'm not also, this is not advice. I want to preface this. Sorry. This is not advice. I'm not telling you that like every single year you should sit down with yourself and go, I'm not gonna do anything this year. Like, no, this is not the answer. There is no answer because I'm not you and you're not me. But I am saying that for me, if I would have told myself that every goal that I had planned for this year is not necessarily all gonna work out, I wouldn't feel as guilty. I wouldn't feel like I failed myself at the beginning of the year. Which is why this year, when summer ends, which it is end day, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sit here and go, well, I'm gonna make this plan and this plan and this plan and this plan, and it's gonna be the best year ever. It's gonna be my most productive year. I'm gonna tell myself that despite my goals, despite me wanting to do all of this, it's likely that maybe even a majority of it won't happen. It depends on how many goals I have, but it is totally possible for me to just completely fuck everything up. It is completely possible, or maybe not even me, just like whatever situation I'm in to completely derail all of my plans. It's totally possible. But I don't have to blame myself. I don't have to be hard on myself. And then when it happens, when there's a big giant train that like lodges through my whole plan and idea, it's not my fault. Even if it literally is my fault. Like if I decided like, oh, I'm gonna move to like New Mexico and like not talk to any of my friends ever again. At least I told myself that I wasn't gonna stay on the exact track and like do everything that I wanted to do. I had hindsight. It's entirely about hindsight. And it's also entirely about talking with yourself and not being aggressive and just mean and terrible to yourself, because it doesn't fix the situation. Many people, right, they'll get so depressed that they want change, right? They want change so they don't like kill themselves or anything. They want change. But immediately their idea of change is like being an abusive parent and just screaming at it until it changes. It's not how it works. In fact, it makes it worse. That's how it gets worse. That's literally how it gets worse. And the only reason I know that is from firsthand experience. I wasted 2 years doing this to myself, expecting shit to change. And it didn't. Nothing changed. I should have seen it immediately and gone, wow, after a week of being an asshole to myself, did I get any better? No. No, I didn't get any better. Because why the fuck would I? Oh, I'm gonna, sorry. Yeah, actually, I'm being yelled at by myself every single day for the entirety of my life. And I need to change. And if I don't change, I'm like a fat loser who needs to die. And like, you know, all this negative stuff. And like, why would I change? Why would anything change? I would just feel worse about myself. And then eventually, when I do fail, because I like relapse or because I just, you know, forget, then all of a sudden it feels 200 times worse. Because not only did you fail yourself, you failed yourself knowing that you're gonna yell at yourself again. Knowing that you're gonna be mean to yourself again. You don't want that. That was the whole motivation to not do it in the first place. You don't want to get yelled at. It's literally like this exact thing. And I know this is probably because of the environment I grew up in or something. You know, maybe there's a reason that this is the exact definitive approach that I use. But it really shows. This is the reason I'm like sharing this on video or whatever. This was the whole reason for this series, was because stuff that I've experienced can help you like move along your life as a mentally ill person faster than I did. I don't want someone to be in my scenario. I really don't. It sucks. I had to learn all this through trial and error. I went to a therapist too late and didn't learn any of this. And I also didn't listen to my therapist when I first got one. I just didn't. I decided that I knew what was going on. I knew everything, you know, whatever. And that was stupid. That was really stupid and, you know, whatever. But I can't say that I was stupid for that scenario because guess what? It's the exact thing that I'm talking about. It's the exact thing where I'm gonna, like, be mean to myself because of something that I did in the past that didn't lead to something good. it's not going to help the situation. It's just going to make it worse. So I can understand that I've gained new knowledge throughout that time, and the only reason I made those decisions was because I wasn't enlightened. I just didn't have that information. Straight up, I just didn't have it. The fact that summer is ending is also something that is kind of scary because time is moving way too fast. There's no way it's been 3 months since I've had a coherent thought about school and I'm thinking about school again. There's no way that it's been 3 months since I was so excited to go to Florida and meet my online friends, since I was so excited for what awaited me in the summer, for all the things that I was quote unquote gonna do, for all the people that I was gonna hang out with. There's no way that it's been 3 months since I've really thought about that. And I mean really thought about it, like was really excited for it and everything. There's no way it's been 3 months. But it has. It has been 3 months. And soon it'll be 4, and soon it'll be 5, and 6, and etc. It's hard to keep up with time because it seems like it's going faster now, and I don't know how to cope with that sometimes. I know it's just statistics. I know that like mathematically it's just like that, but you know, it just sucks. It really sucks. But I want to leave this video off on a positive note. So despite the time and summer ending and changing, like I said, it's not over. The entirety of the chance for you to hang out with people is not over just because summer's over. The entirety of your chance to have fun and be free is not over just because summer's over. That's stupid. That's frankly just not it's not correct objectively, it's not correct literally. It's just not correct. It's not true. So even though summer's over, it's okay. It's alright. It's there's gonna be another summer, I promise you. Even if you're working a job and you know this is like your last summer break, it's okay. It's not the last time you get to have fun. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings for today. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.